Harp on Sports, The Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? Dabo Swinney drawing a line in the sand. Why? Just a little bit of wind blows that thing right away. His stance, his angle is absurd and ridiculous. Can't wait to look at this. And if he's so adamant about it, Notre Dame opened up the window or opened up the door for Dabo Swinney, the ACC, the SEC, all the major players in college football to do something to make a difference. They're so concerned about students and student athletes. Here's your chance, Dabo. So we're going to look at that as well. Also, into the weekend for the Masters and Tiger Woods in contention. You know who's not? The American Big Three. Koepka, Spieth, DeChambeau. Out. And you know what? Oh, man. You can't continue to build your brand if you're not around on the weekend. The old man teaching the young guys new tricks. Guys, you got to make the cut at these tournaments. So to look at that as well. Remember, Harp on Sports, the bar, available for you. Twitter, Instagram at Harp on Sports. Facebook page, harponsports.com. Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Harp on Sports, the YouTube channel, and harponsports.com. All right. Dabo Swinney comes out, and what's the exact phrase here? I want to make sure I get it right. College football needs a complete blow-up. Why? It's going in the wrong direction. Why? Cincinnati made the college football playoff this year. Right? Michigan made the playoff for the first time. Georgia made the playoff for the first time in 4 years. Beat Alabama. You had Notre Dame and Oklahoma State in a pretty good Fiesta Bowl. The Rose Bowl gave us Utah State and Ohio State in a great football game. Why does it need blown up? Well, this is, and I quote, ready? I got some more fun stuff here. There's problems for everybody, but Alabama's problems are different than like Middle Tennessee State's problems. Yeah. Picking out what $100 steak you want to eat is a little bit different than deciding if you have enough money to eat. Dabo about as tone deaf as you can get on this. Somebody that has zero perspective, that rolls it under the guise of student athletes. It's about education. It's about education is what it's about. What part of building a slide in your locker room has to do with education, Dabo? Arcade in the locker room? Is that educational? LSU's building sleep pods. Full of shit. You are. You just are. And then it gets worse. The stench gets worse. He talked about how if you start paying the athletes, start paying these guys, you're going to pay these guys. The ADs are going to love it. You can fire them. And then you don't have to pay for housing. You don't have to pay for education. You don't have to pay them. ADs will love it. So let me get this straight. ADs are going to love paying these guys as opposed to not paying them. Right now, education, they don't have to pay them. Athletic directors are going to want money to come out of their budget to pay athletes. They're going to love it. See, this is what happens when you have a local yokel media and nobody asks like real questions. I see it all the time. Coach, how's it a bad thing that the likes of Cincinnati can make the college football playoff? How's it a bad thing that athletes can make money off their name, image, and likeness? How's this a bad thing? How's this a bad thing? How's it hurting athletics? He talked about, well, the major conferences, we just may have to break away. Oh, you don't like the little guy at a seat at the table. Now, do I think the little guy belongs in the college football playoff more often than time? No. No, I don't. Did Cincinnati belong this year? Yeah, I thought they did. I thought they deserved a crack at it. They got a crack at it. They got beat. They were competitive, but they got beat. Of course, Georgia whipped up on Michigan more. I don't, what's he worked up about? Again, athletic directors are going to pay for their salary, pay for their housing, pay for their education, and then fire them to save money. Don't you guys kind of do that now? Here's what the moral of this story is, okay? Dabo also talked about he doesn't like the transfer portal. His transfer portal's in the locker room. Oh, okay. Change is constant. Get over it. Here's what Dabo doesn't like. He doesn't like that the athletes now have more control than he does. It's the truth. It's the same thing that politicians do. I love America. That guy doesn't. Vote for me because I love it more. There's no metric to prove any of that. There's no metric to determine how's that act. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? My favorite thing about this is Alabama has their problems, and their problems. Middle Tennessee State has their problems too, but they both have problems. Yeah, okay. Paying taxes on winning a $400 million Powerball jackpot is a problem. But deciding whether or not you're going to pay your credit card bill this month in order to keep the electricity on is a different type of problem. If you make $10 million a year, chances are you don't look at the cost of clothing when you buy things. You don't look at the cost of menu items when you buy things. It's a different thing than, okay, we're not going to go out and eat this weekend because we need to pay our taxes. Dabo, good gracious. Dude, it's ridiculous. Saying that Middle Tennessee State has problems, but so does Alabama. Yeah. What am I going to do with all my money? Oh my gosh, I got so many problems. Do I drive the Bentley or the Aston Martin this weekend? Oh, my problems. Oh, Dabo, my heart aches for you. It aches. Poor guy. Poor fella. So this is a crock. And do I think he talked about certain schools are going to have to break off from the other ones. Why? What is a MAC school doing that hurts Dabo? Oh, Dabo's looking out for the MAC school. That's why they need to break away. And then you talk about budgets within budgets. Oh, okay. Well, it's like, we need a commissioner. Do you want to put a cap? This is where college coaches lose me. They lose me on a lot of things, but the whole, it's not fair. Okay. Then do we cap Clemson's recruiting budget? How about revenue share? How about that? That's what we do in the NFL, right, Dabo? You're so worried about fairness. How about we pool all the money together from every school in the conference and divide it by 14? Not fair for you because that's what they do in the NFL. Let's pool all the money. That fair? Speaking of fair, Dabo's so worried about things being fair. I got a great solution for him. Follow Notre Dame's lead. I was a little shocked when I saw that Notre Dame's going to play an FCS school for the first time, but they're going to play an HBCU. So they're just doing this to stockpile wins. They take on Toledo and Ball State. I think they whipped my alma mater a decade ago. I think playing a MAC school and playing an HBCU, maybe it's a little bit lower, but in terms of chances of losing, I'm interested to see what the payout's going to be. There's where you know whether or not it's legit. Because MAC schools are getting about 1.1, 1.2 million a game now. Dabo, you're so worried about the little guy and it not being fair and all this. It's the different problems. Well, then you can be part of the solution. Dabo, I'd love to see Clemson schedule an HBCU every year. Dabo's so worried about the little guy and so worried about, revenue. It's not fair. Okay. Then Dabo, I want you to lead the charge. Dabo Swinney and Clemson's going to do it, and he's going to suggest everybody in the ACC do it. Yes. Thank you, Dabo. Your crusade is noted. I'm sure you're going to lead the way to make sure every school in the ACC plays an HBCU every year. There's enough of them. How about the SEC step up too? See, it's a little bit different than making your Facebook profile picture all black and saying you support Black Lives Matter. right? It's different than, hey, you know what? I'm going to go see a black made film. I like Jordan Peele's movies. No, actually, what are you going to do about it? Here you go. You want to lift everybody up? ACC, Dabo, SEC, guys, you want to lift everybody up? One of your non-conference games, HBCU every year. Look, by the time you take certain schools out of the MEAC and you take schools out of the SWAC, other conferences, right, have HBCUs. Clemson, you can play South Carolina State every year. Going to get a nice rotation going. South Carolina State, Middle Tennessee State, Howard, Grambling State. Oh, man. Jacksonville State. You guys are great. I think this is awesome. Thank you for the idea, Dabo. Dabo's worried about college athletics and, jeez, it's a mess. All right. What's your solution besides crying and griping and complaining? It's only a problem if you got a solution. Well, I got one for you, baby. Every school in the ACC plays an HBCU every year. And then the rotation starts. You want to lift everybody up? You want to do what's best for the greater good? There you go. Could you imagine what it would mean? Like I've already said. Howard, Middle Tennessee, or Tennessee State. I mean, UT Chattanooga, just to pick one. Grambling, South Carolina State. You can go up and down the MEAC. Take an HBCU, play one every year. Rotate them. Cut them a $1.1 million, $1.2 million check, cut them every year. You give an HBCU $1 million, put them on the stage in your stadium. Raise up. Taking moments of silence and wearing armbands and putting decals on helmets. Great. Kind of like what they did at Florida this year. We're going to honor the military by wearing camouflage. How does that help the military by you wearing camouflage? Now, if you auctioned off all the camo stuff and donated money to the Disabled American Veterans Fund, or if you wore camouflage and then auctioned off all the things for the local VFW, Wounded Warriors, did something like that, then you're doing something. But we're going to honor the vets this weekend by playing a bunch of patriotic songs and wearing camouflage. Wow. That should help with their mental health coming back from fighting 2 decades worth of wars. You wore camouflage. Wow. Gee. This may save America. Don't be that person. It's slacktivism. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. Do something about it. So, Dabo, put your money where your mouth is. You want to help out college athletics? You lead the charge. Clemson leads the charge. I want to see a motion on the table. Motion on the table coming up here this summer. All you coaches get together. Going forward, the ACC is going to lead the charge. Every school in the conference is going to play an HBCU every year. Thank you, Dabo. He's not going to do it because he's self-righteous and self-serving. It's facts. I still want to know why college football needs completely blown up. These kids are going to be making money, and then the athletic directors are going to be firing them, and the athletic directors want these kids to make money so they can fire them, and then they don't have to pay for housing. And wait, what do you mean don't have to pay for athletic departments right now? Scholarships, you don't have to pay them. Why would athletic directors want to pay people? I can either not pay them money, and we can guise it under education, or I can pay them and then fire them and then have to pay them and bring in more people and have to pay them. It's ridiculous. I'm not falling for it because I'm not stupid. It's like when flat earthers say, hear me out. No, I'm actually not going to even waste my time. Anytime everybody gives you the phrase, hear me out, nah, done, because what's about ready to come out of your mouth is ridiculous. Or if somebody wants to give you a scenario now, if. Okay, I'll give you one if. The minute you start stacking ifs, it's like being an exponent of the exponent. 2 to the 4 to the 8. No. It's too much. It's way too many possibilities. Not going to. No, if this happens. No, if this happens. If I had wheels, it'd be a wagon. I got feet, though. All right. So thank you, Dabo. Good gracious. Pivoting from Dabo. The Masters. Tiger Woods. Good. Mid in the 40s. Still have some athleticism. Tom Brady, Tiger Woods. It's great. I love it. What I don't love is the three big Americans. What's supposed to be the holy trinity of American golf going forward here. In his 20s, Jordan Spieth, DeChambeau, Koepka. Deuce their drawers. All three don't make the cut. Golf is building off a lot of Team USA momentum after the Ryder Cup win. Here's Tiger Woods, who, thank God, Tiger made the cut. Now, look, is it Scotty Scheffler? He's blitzing the field. That's great. Is he going to win the tournament? It looks like, unless he has a major collapse. He goes out and shoots under par. Even if he shoots 1 under par on Saturday and 1 under par on Sunday, he gets to 10 under. I find a tough time somebody shooting 11 under and tracking him down. Certain guys could. Dustin Johnson could, but it's going to be tough. Scotty Scheffler's to lose. So there's an American in there. Don't get me wrong. He's having a great year. He's having a fantastic year. But all this rivalry of Koepka and DeChambeau, what happens with golf is we start to build these things and then they fizzle out. Where Tiger, we built this mountain and it kept building and building and building and building and building and building. It turned into this monster. What happened after Tiger? Well, we're trying to find the next thing. Phil comes along, it builds and builds and builds, and it's a good run for about a decade plus. Then what do we have? Well, here comes Rory. Builds, fizzles out. Here comes Spieth. Builds, fizzles out. Dustin Johnson's always been lurking. Uh-oh, here comes another one. What's coming now? Oh, here comes Koepka. Builds. Okay, kind of little fizzles out. Here comes DeChambeau. He and Koepka don't like each other. Builds, fizzles out. Nothing sustains. Now look, might look back on this in a couple months and Koepka can go out and win the next 2 of the next 3 majors and DeChambeau could win, 2 of the next 3 majors. Like, oh, so that was just the Masters. Yeah, but you kind of need those names around even the weekend even if they're not winning. Because at least if they're around, you're like, oh, there's the name. Oh, there's the name. Oh, there's the name. See, the thing about Tiger Woods is what made Tiger Woods able to build this big brand. He won all the time. But even when he wasn't winning, he was finishing in the top 5. Finishing in the top 10. Making the cut, playing on Sunday. It was funny because, we talked about going into the Masters that if Tiger makes the cut and is playing in the weekend, that's your best case scenario that he's in contention. What was after that? What was the best case scenario after that? Boy, we've got Koepka and DeChambeau. Those guys duking it out on the weekend. Both missed the cut. Well, where's Spieth at? Missed the cut. Rory's hanging around, but, if Rory can get into Sunday, it'll grab your attention. But these guys aren't around, and they're only making the cut in like 2 of the 4 majors, 3 of the 4 majors. They're only in contention for 1 of them. Then it's like, oh, who's that week? It's always new. The NBA was built, why? Because it was the Celtics and the Lakers all over the place in the 80s. People complained about it, but now we're nostalgic for it. Everybody complained about, I want to see somebody other than Tiger Woods. We went away for a while. Now we're nostalgic about it. Same thing happens with LeBron. Same thing happened with Jordan. It's going to happen with LeBron. 10 years from now, people will be like, wow, he was the all-time leading scorer and I never watched him play. I just hated on him. So Tiger, thank God he's around. But golf, big 3, come on, man. Scotty Scheffler's a great story. That's fantastic. But Tiger's up there. I look around and go, okay, Dustin Johnson's up there. The problem with golf is these guys have like 3-year runs where they do a bunch of stuff and then they disappear. Tiger had a decade-long run, a 10-year run where he was a monster. What happens? Rory has a 3-year run, disappears. 2 3-year run. What happens? Spieth has a 2 3 run. That disappears, but just kind of hovers. Then what happens? Here comes Koepka, 2 3 run, disappears, hovers. Just not building these massive brands. It's not. Have a 2 3 run, disappear. Billy Donovan did a little bit of basketball, right? Had a good little run, but then kind of just fizzled out. John Calipari went to what? 4 Final Fours his first 6 years at Kentucky, then kind of fizzles out. Get up there. Get up there. Get up there. Stay up there. Don't need to win, but need to be around. Don't need to win, but need you around. Like I said, you know, I don't need to strike out every batter, but I need you around the plate as a pitcher. Don't need you to home run every time, but I need you to put the ball in play. So, golf until you know, he doesn't need to win them all, but if Koepka would have gone 5th this weekend, you know, 2nd at the U.S. Open, wins the British or wins the Open, 4th at the PGA, something like, okay, we can live with that. That's fine. That's fine. But when you go, cut, win, cut, 18th, you got to be around. Got to be around. So, thank God for Tiger. Harp On Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp On Sports Instagram, at Harp On Sports Twitter. Podcast for you. Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Harp On Sports, the Facebook page. Harp On Sports, the YouTube channel. And of course, harponsports.com. Consume. There you go. Check out harponsports.com. Still have my recent article up. Going to be working on a new one. We're going to tell you what that is going to be Sunday night into Monday. But article up right now. Who's in need of number 2? Bill Self winning a national championship. What athlete, what coach needs that second title next? Who really needs that second title? 1, some never get to 1. A bunch get to 1. Getting to 2 is that next big step. Who's in need of number 2? Check it out at harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.